Hey, good morning.
Good morning, attorney.
Morning,
Morning.
sir. Morning, sir.
So we will now start with the discussion on the topic business organizations. We will follow the bar syllabus for the 2025 bar exam. So for the first topic, we will discuss business organizations, specifically zeroing in on corporations. Okay. So we already discussed last time the topics covered by the bar syllabus. And for today's session, we will discuss general principles. Okay. Okay. So corporation law, we have the old corporation law before, and now in 2019, we have the revised Corporation Code of the Philippines, RA number 11232. Okay, so just a brief introduction to the law. So what were the factors that influenced the passage of the revised corporation code? Republic Act number 11232, the revised corporation code of the Philippines, is a consolidation of Senate Bill number 1280 and Senate House Bill number 8374, which aimed at increasing competitiveness and improving ease of doing business. So these were the two things that really pushed the revision of the old corporation code: competitiveness and ease of doing business, which were um, the content of these two bills from the Senate and the House of Representatives. And these were passed considering that the Philippines slipped to rank 124th from rank 113 out of 190 economies surveyed through this report, Doing Business 2019 report of the World Bank. So by documenting the changes in regulation in 12 areas of business activity in the said economies, the Doing Business report analyzes regulations that first encourages efficiency and supports freedom to do business, as it measures how easy or difficult it is for an entrepreneur to open, manage, and operate his business. And also how such business may readily comply with regulations. So all these factors really motivated the legislators to revise the corporation code, because under the old code, there were difficulties in these areas, okay, specifically ease of doing business, and more specifically, how entrepreneurs will open, meaning create their business organizations, manage these business organizations, operate and comply with regulations. So to put the Philippines at par with other jurisdictions, the revised corporation code eh, incorporated provisions that would comply with best practices as far as corporation as a business organization is being run and regulated by other jurisdictions. Okay. In the sponsorship speech of Senate Bill number 1280, four main reform clusters were mentioned. Okay? Specifically, okay, policies that would enhance ease of doing business in the Philippines. Okay. So these policies aim at streamlining business operations and reduce bureaucratic hurdles. Second, rules that prioritize corporate and
Huh?
stockholder.
Online class. Yes.
Okay. Third, provisions that instill corporate and civic responsibility. Corporate and civic responsibility. Provisions encouraging ethical practices and community engagement. Hindi lang po puro pera, but the law saw to it that corporations must give back something to the community and observe ethical standards. And fourth, amendments that will strengthen the country's policy and regulatory corporate framework. Now, because of these revisions to the old corporation code after the adoption of the revised corporation code in February 2019, this resulted to a 29-notch jump for the Philippines. So it improved the ranking of the Philippines as it's now, as of the 2020 Doing Business Report, the Philippines is ranked 95th na. Okay? So tumaas yung ranking niya. So based on the report, the Philippines improved in 3 areas. Namely, starting a business. Mas madali na po ngayon mag-start ng corporation, dealing with construction permits, and protecting minority interests. In the old corporation code, pag maliit lang yung shares ng isang stockholder, wala na siyang boses. But with the introduction of provisions like the mandatory presence of independent directors, minority investors are also protected. The report stated that starting a business was made easier by abolishing the minimum capital requirement. So wala nang minimum capital requirement. Unlike in the old code, yung 25, 25, 25, and this abolition pertains to domestic corporations. And it made easier also dealing with construction permits, as it's easier by improving coordination and streamlining the process for obtaining an occupancy certificate. And protecting minority investors was strengthened by requiring greater disclosure of transactions with interested parties and enhancing director liability for transactions with interested parties. Okay, so if you look at this diagram, the Philippines, under the Doing Business report of the World Bank, improved its ranking through these things. It strengthened investor protection, streamlined permits, mas madali na po kumuha ng permits, and abolition of capital requirement. Now, the Securities and Exchange Commission, as the overseer of the corporate sector, considers the adoption of the RCC as one giant leap forward as it fills the gaps in the 4-decade-old Batas Pambansa Bilang 68 or the old Corporation Code and supersedes provisions that have become obsolete and even hinder some in the fast-paced and highly competitive environment. According to SEC, overall, the revised corporation code fosters inclusive entrepreneurship, improves Okay, the ease of doing business, promotes, okay, it promotes good corporate governance. Okay, it enhances or it enhanced economic competitiveness and increases protection afforded to corporations, investors, and other stockholders through progressive provisions. So these appear to be the pillars of the revised corporation code as far as how it enhanced the old corporation code. So if you were asked what were the key attributes of the revised corporation code or the key revisions in the new code that pave way for enhanced ranking of the Philippines as far as doing business is concerned, these are the factors. Inclusive entrepreneurship, ease of doing business, economic competitiveness, good corporate governance, and stockholder protection. Now, on this facet, okay, ease of doing business. Ba't natin masasabi na there is ease of doing business through the revised corporation code? The RRC has introduced a number of provisions which seek to enhance ease of doing business and to keep it up to date with global trends and practices. For most of these changes are the introduction of the one-person corporation, which allows individuals to establish corporations independently. It reduced number of incorporators and directors. So reduced incorporators and directors. It simplifies the management structure for businesses. Removal of the capital requirement, the 25-25% requirement on subscription and paid-in capital during incorporation. It eliminates mandatory capital distribution during incorporation as required in the old code. And also, the introduction of the perpetual corporate term. It allows corporations to exist indefinitely without renewal. Yan yung naging problema sa old corporation code. Siguro because of the management overlooking the requirements for renewal, napapabayaan nila yung corporation nila. But with this perpetual corporate existence, there's no need to do these renewals under the old corporation code. Now, just a brief, insight on the one-person corporation, which is one of the most talked about revisions. Okay? So, a one-person corporation consists only of a single stockholder. And this stockholder must be either a natural person, a trust, or state. Okay, the SEC clarified that an incorporator, yung single incorporator na yan, the trust referred in the code does not refer to a trust entity but the estate, meaning the subject managed by a trustee. So quite understandably, banks and quasi-banks, pre-need, trust insurance, public and publicly listed companies, non-chartered government GOCCs may not incorporate as OPC. So, yung pwede lang maging incorporator ng one-person corporation are these: natural person, trust, or estate. Okay, so pwede na pala, kahit iisa lang yung incorporator, pwedeng gumawa ng isang stock corporation under the concept of one-person corporation. Why is this significant? Well, it's significant because mas pinadali yung pag-create ng isang corporation. Unlike before, kailangan mo pang i-comply yung minimum number of incorporators. Okay, so that's a brief overview of why we have these revisions and why we have a number 11232, the Revised Corporation Code of the Philippines. Okay, let's dive into the different bar topics. First, general principles. Okay. Under the topic of general principles, of course, we'll be introduced to the concept of a corporation. So under the revised corporation code, how do we discuss this? What is the nature of a corporation, its attributes, its nationality? How do we distinguish a corporation from the people that compose it? Does it have a personality separate and distinct from these natural or juridical persons composing it? Okay? And will this artificial existence of a corporation protect it from commission of fraud? Huh? That's the doctrine of piercing the veil. And what do we mean by the trust fund doctrine? So these are the topics we will discuss today as far as the general principles of the revised corporation code. Okay, let's look at the nature and attributes of a corporation. Now, if we look at section 2 of the revised corporation code, a corporation is defined as an artificial being created by operation of law, having the right of succession and the powers, attributes, and properties expressly authorized by law or incidental to its existence. So, from section 2, we can now identify the attributes of a corporation and the nature of a corporation. So first, it's an artificial being with a separate personality. Second, it's created by operation of law. Okay. Third, it has a right of succession. And lastly, it has powers, attributes, and properties. Okay, let's look at the concept of a corporation being an artificial being with a separate personality. Okay. So let's discuss this attribute by discussing the meaning of artificial being and later on the meaning of separate personality. Okay. Artificial being. Yan. Well, a corporation is considered an artificial being because it's not a natural person. It's unlike us, yung mga creatures of God, as they say, with material existence. It is a juridical entity created by law. So it's a fiction of law. Without the law, there's no such thing as a corporate person. Now, the effect of its being an artificial being is that it has an existence distinct and separate from the individuals who compose it. This concept is foundational in Philippine corporate law as codified in Section 2 of the Revised Corporation Code. Okay. This means that a corporation does not exist naturally but is brought into existence through legal processes such as incorporation and operates under the framework of laws that grant it specific rights and responsibilities. So the manner by which a corporation is brought into existence is not a natural process, but a process provided by law. Now you have these jurisprudential standards, the case of Uy Gongco Corporation et al. Versus Harbor Center Port Terminal Incorporated, 2023 case. The Supreme Court emphasized that a corporation is a juridical entity with a personality distinct from its incorporators, stockholders, or members. It exercises its powers and conducts business through its board of directors or authorized representatives. We always associate the nature of a corporation as an artificial being with the concept of separate personality. Okay? So dahil meron siyang artificial being, it should stand on its own and should be distinguished from the persons behind it. So it has its own rights. It exercises these rights. The law confers powers upon corporations, and it exercises these powers. Similarly, in the case of Fernandez versus Smart Communications Incorporated, 2019 case, so therefore it's now covered under the revised corporation code. The court reiterated that a corporation's obligations are its own and not those of its stockholders or representatives, underscoring its separate legal personality. Now, key characteristics of a corporation as an artificial being. Okay, tignan natin to. Again, when we speak corporation as an artificial being, it simply means that it's created by law. Okay? Hindi po siya natural, but it's a legal fiction. A corporation comes into existence only through compliance with legal requirements, such as, among others, the filing of articles of incorporation with SEC. As a consequence of its artificial being, it has a separate legal personality. It is distinct from its incorporators, stockholders, or members, allowing it to own property on its own, enter into contracts, and also be sued or be sued in its own name. Okay? Also, as a consequence of its artificial being, perpetual succession. Since artificial being siya, unlike natural persons who die, a corporation can exist indefinitely, provided, of course, that it has perpetual existence, kung yun yung pinili niya. So kahit na namatay lahat ng mga natural persons or mga entities na nag-incorporate at naging mga shareholders, a corporation continues to exist because it's not a natural being. For as long as the law is there that supports the existence of a corporation, it has perpetual existence or it has perpetual succession. Another key consequence of artificial being, okay, limited liability. Stockholders are generally not personally liable for corporate debts. Kasi hindi nga sila ang corporation, they have a separate personality. Those who invested in a corporation by being stockholders will not be liable for the debts of the corporation. Okay? They are not personally liable for corporate debts as the corporation's liabilities are separate from those of the people who compose it. Okay. Now, having mentioned that the corporation is an artificial being, hindi siya natural na tao, that's why there are several limitations to a corporation. Ano ba yung mga limitations sa corporation dahil dun sa nature ng existence niya? Legal fiction lang siya. Well, first, yung actions ng corporation. So since the corporation is an artificial being, and since it possesses a personality separate and distinct from its stockholders, ang tanong ngayon, paano din mag-act ang isang corporation if it is a person different from its stockholders and directors? So imposible kasi wala siyang katawan. But under the revised corporation code, as a juridical entity, it can only act through its directors, officers, and employees who serve as its agents in conducting corporate affairs. So in other words, a corporation cannot act directly in the sense that it does not have any corporeal existence, unlike natural persons. But what the law says is it can act indirectly through its board, through its officers, through its employees. A jurisprudence in Phil Harbor Ferries and Port Services Incorporated versus Carlos 2024 case, the Supreme Court emphasized that a corporation as a juridical entity acts only through its directors, officers, and employees. That's a limitation to the existence of a corporation. It cannot do things directly. It can only act through these people. Obligations incurred by these agents in the performance of their corporate duties are generally the responsibility of the corporation, not the individuals. So for as long as the directors, officers, and employees are acting within their authority, then their actions bind the corporation as if those are the actions, the decisions of the corporation itself. Because that's the only framework by which a corporation can act. Similarly, in Zaragoza versus Tan, GR number 225544, 2017 case, the court reiterated that a corporation's separate legal personality shields its directors and officers from personal liability unless they acted with fraud, bad faith, or gross negligence. So why is this relevant? Kasi yung setup sa corporation, hindi pwede yung corporation yung mismong gagawa kasi imposible, but it's through the directors, officers, and employees. Nonetheless, okay, you cannot fault or you cannot put the liability on these agents, directors, officers, and employees because they are just acting for and behalf of the corporation. Pwede lang maging personally liable yung mga directors, officers, and employees if they acted, okay, fraudulently, in bad faith, or negligently, or grossly negligent. That way, pwedeng gamitin yung piercing the veil and that the separate personality of the corporation may be set aside. Okay, key principles. A corporation is a legal fiction, meaning it exists only because the law allows it. It cannot act on its own, but must rely on natural persons to perform its functions. Agency relationship. Directors, officers, and employees act as agents of the corporation. Their actions, when within the scope of their authority, bind the corporation. Limited liability. The corporate veil, meaning the fact that the corporation has a personality of its own, that protects the people who are acting for the corporation. Yung separate personality ng corporation protects directors and officers from personal liability. You cannot fault them for the decisions of the corporation kasi iba yung personality ng corporation. However, itong corporate veil, the fact that the corporation has a separate personality can be pierced. It could be set aside if this will be used in a fraudulent or in a manner that contravenes good faith. Okay. Now, another consequence of the artificial nature of the existence of a corporation that puts limit to it is on the issue of its criminal liability. Okay. Pwede bang maging liable ang corporation? If yes, what particular penalties can be imposed against a corporation? Now, under the old law, kung maalala po natin, parang imposible maging criminally liable ang corporation kasi hindi naman pwedeng ikulong. But under the revised corporation code, there are now express provisions that impose criminal liability on corporations. Corporations may be held criminally liable for specific acts or omissions as provided by its provisions. However, the liability of a corporation is distinct from its officers, directors, and employees, and the penalties imposed on the corporation differ from those imposed on individuals. Separate personality. So it's possible that the corporation is criminally liable, but the people behind it are not criminally liable. So what particular instances may a corporation, not the people behind it, may be criminally liable? So tignan natin. Section 177 of the RCC states that corporations may be penalized for violations of the code, and such liability is separate from the liability of its directors, officers, or employees. Section 165 penalizes corporations that conduct business through fraud, while Section 166 imposes liability for using the corporation as an intermediary for graft and corrupt practices. So ang ibig sabihin nito, the offense committed by the corporation is different from the offense that may be committed by the people running the corporation. Pero yung tinanong natin kanina, paano mo gawing criminally liable ang isang corporation kung artificial being lang siya? Hindi mo naman siya pwedeng ikulong. Well, the answer to that is on the kind of penalty imposed to a corporation. You cannot imprison a corporation, but you can fine it. And fine is a penalty. Okay? So in all these instances, pwedeng mapatawan ng fine ang corporation. So a corporation may be held criminally liable when it conducts its business through fraudulent means, Section 165. When it is used to commit or conceal graft and corrupt practices, Section 166. It engages intermediaries for graft and corrupt practices, 167. It tolerates graft and corrupt practices committed by its directors, officers, or employees, 168. So itong mga provisions nito, 165 to 168, pinapatawan ng fine ang corporation. And therefore, a corporation is criminally liable. Now, tanong naman, when is a corporation not criminally liable? A corporation cannot be held criminally liable for acts that are inherently personal to individuals, such as crimes requiring intent or specific actions that only natural persons can perform. Take note that we still subscribe to the traditional concept of a crime. 'Di ba ang crime is only through free will and intelligence. So yung mga ganitong klaseng offense or crimes, hindi pwedeng gawin ng corporation yan. Kasi a corporation has no freedom and intelligence like a natural person. So it's only under these particular provisions 165 to Section 168, can a corporation be held criminally liable? The principle of separate juridical personality shields corporations from liability for acts committed by its officers, employees. So, kung may ginawa mang crime ang officers and employees ng corporation, that is not the criminal liability of the corporation as it has a separate personality. Ngayon, tignan natin, ano ba yung particular na fine ang ini-impose sa corporations? We mentioned about sections 165 to 168. Ito po yung mga fine dyan. So, for 165, fine ranging from 200,000 to 2 million pesos or up to 5 million pesos if injurious to the public. 166, 100,000 to 5 million. 170, okay? 10,000 to 1 million. So, yun yung mga criminal penalty imposable on a corporation. So again, while it's true that you cannot imprison a corporation, you can make it criminally liable. Under the revised penal code, we have provisions already expressly providing the fines imposable against a corporation. Moral damages. Pwede bang maawardan ng moral damages ang isang artificial being katulad ng corporation? Eh wala naman siyang nararamdaman. Under the revised Corporation Code of the Philippines, corporations are generally not entitled to moral damages because they are juridical persons incapable of experiencing physical suffering or emotional distress. But take note of these exceptions where a corporation's reputation is unjustly harmed, provided there is clear and convincing evidence of the damage and its causal connection to the wrongful act, then a corporation may be entitled to moral damages. Okay. Now, the revised corporation code does not explicitly address moral damages for corporations. Walang provision to that effect. However, the general principles of moral damages under the Civil Code of the Philippines, particularly Articles 2217 and 2219 apply. Ano ba yung nakalagay sa 2217 of the Civil Code? It defines moral damages as compensation for physical suffering, mental anguish, fright, serious anxiety, okay, besmirched reputation, etc. Article 2219, it enumerates cases where moral damages may be recovered, including acts contrary to law or public policy. So these provisions apply if a corporation would enforce this as a cause of action. Are there cases already where a corporation, okay, raised as a cause of action claim for moral damages? A 2017 case, Penn Development Corporation versus Martinez Leyva Incorporated. Supreme Court reiterated that corporations are generally not entitled to moral damages because they cannot experience emotional or physical suffering. However, moral damages may be awarded in exceptional cases. So it's not the general rule, exceptional cases lang yan. Where a corporation's goodwill or reputation is debased, resulting in social humiliation, okay, and provided there is sufficient factual basis. And the factual basis, okay, will be proven by clear and convincing evidence. In the case also of Chevron Philippines Incorporated versus Mendoza, 2019 case, okay, meron na yung revised corporation code dito. The court emphasized that claims for moral damages must be substantiated by clear and convincing evidence. So if you connect, okay, these two cases together, makikita na natin na exception to the general rule ang pag-claim ng moral damages by a corporation. And second, kung yan ang cause of action ng corporation, the quantum of proof is not just preponderance of evidence, but something higher, but lower than proof of guilt beyond reasonable doubt. It is clear and convincing evidence. Also in Tuna Processors Incorporated versus Frescomar Corporation, 2024 case, bagong-bago po. The court clarified that moral damages for corporations are not automatic because it's an exception to the general rule and require proof of inquiry, a culpable act, and causal connection between the act and the injury. So if you add this again, mahirap mag-claim ang corporation ng moral damages. Aside from it's an exception to the rule and aside from satisfying a heavier quantum of evidence, ito rin kailangang i-prove causal connection between the act and the injury. So when can a corporation claim moral damages? If its reputation was harmed. A corporation may claim moral damages if its reputation is unjustly harmed, such as in cases of libel or defamation, provided that there is clear evidence of the damage and its causal link to the wrongful act. Exceptional circumstances, the court may allow moral damages in rare cases where a corporation suffers harm analogous to those listed in Article 2219, such as acts contrary to law or public policy. Kailan naman hindi entitled sa moral damages ang corporation? As a juridical person, corporations cannot experience emotional or physical suffering, such as a primary basis for moral damages. So if you're a lawyer, you cannot put in the pleading, for example, na hindi nakatulog ang corporation because of besmirched reputation. A lack of factual basis, it's not enough that you just allege the claim in the petition. It's important to substantiate such factual claims through clear and convincing evidence. Anyway, I'll give you access naman po dito sa presentation. I'll just share a link and you can read po. Okay. So we're done with, the attribute of a corporation as an artificial being. Maraming limitations sa existence ng corporation and that was what we discussed a while ago. And siguro before we dismiss, let's talk a little bit about the separate personality of a corporation. So nababanggit na natin kanina yung separate personality kasi hindi natin pwedeng i-discuss ang artificial being ng corporation without discussing it having a separate personality. Okay, so the concept of corporation separate juridical personality means that a corporation is treated as a legal entity distinct from its incorporators, stockholders, or members. Again, this concept is a cornerstone of Philippine corporation law. Well, if you notice, in the bar syllabus, this concept of separate personality is another main topic under general principles. So doctrine of separate personality okay. So, ang katanungan dito, ba't meron ba tayong doctrine of separate personality? What is the main purpose of why we have this doctrine of separate personality? Well, the main reason there is para protection po ng mga directors, officers, and employees ng corporation. They are mere agents of the corporation, and therefore they cannot be held liable for the obligations or liabilities of the corporation. This principle shields individuals behind the corporation from personal liability for corporate obligations. And in line with the general framework of the revised corporation code, yung pagkakaroon ng separate personality must be aimed at convenience of how a corporation transacts with the public, how a corporation would commit itself to the community in a just and fair manner. So ang tanong dito, paano kung ginagamit yung separate personality ng corporation or yung corporate veil in a way that is contrary to the purpose of the law? Like, for example, instead of making transactions convenient, it is being used to make transactions inconvenient. Instead of transacting in good faith, ginagamit yung corporate veil as a way to commit fraud, illegal activities, or transact in bad faith. Anong mangyayari? Well, of course, the purpose of this principle is forfeited. Thus, we have to apply the doctrine of piercing the veil. Tatanggalin na yung separate personality so that aggrieved individuals can run after the people behind the corporation. Okay. Separate personality. Kailan nag-i-start yung separate personality ng isang corporation? Under Section 18 of the Revised Penal Code, it commences its juridical personality upon the issuance of a certificate of incorporation by SEC. This means that the corporation as a separate entity can own property in its name and is responsible for its own obligations. Take note of these cases, palaging nauulit po, University of Mindanao Incorporated versus BSP, 2016 case. In here, the Supreme Court emphasized that a corporation's assets and liabilities are distinct from those of its officers, stockholders, and other corporations. This principle protects the personal assets of shareholders from being used to satisfy corporate debts and vice versa. So kung may liability ang corporation, wag kang maghanap ng ibang tao to pay its liability. Directors, stockholders, officers, they are separate persons, and that you cannot run after them. If a corporation has a subsidiary corporation, the subsidiary corporation is separate and distinct from the parent corporation. You cannot run after another corporation. You have to go after the corporation itself. In Commissioner of Customs versus Oil-Link International Corporation, 2014, by the way, ito 2016, 2014, but still the principle is applicable in the revised corporation code. The court reiterated that the corporate personality is a legal fiction established for convenience and justice. Yan po ang main reason kung bakit may corporate veil. Why a corporation has a separate personality. It's for convenience and justice. Convenience for the people behind the corporation and for people transacting with the corporation. Ngayon, kung ito nawala, naging mas inconvenient, naging unjust yung pagkakagamit ng corporate veil, then it may be disregarded, okay, if it is used to perpetrate fraud or evade obligations. And also in Land Bank of the Philippines versus Court of Appeals, 2001 case, the separate personality of a corporation is a legal fiction created for convenience and justice. Paulit-ulit po, convenience and justice. Kung hindi yan ang purpose, then you have to set aside the corporate fiction. So, ano bang kabaliktaran ng convenience and justice as the aim for why we have a separate personality? Ang kabaliktaran po niyan, as per jurisprudence, is when the corporate veil or this legal fiction is used to commit fraud, evade obligations, or perpetrate injustice. This is the common denominator in instances where we apply the doctrine of piercing the veil. Fraud, evasion of obligations, and perpetration of injustice. What are the key features of separate legal personality? Okay, may consequences po to. But unfortunately, we run out of time na. But as a prelude for next meeting, may consequences po yung separate personality as far as property, obligations, rights, constitutional rights, torts, and nationality are concerned. But I will reserve this for the next meeting. It's already 11 o'clock. Mag-take lang po tayo ng